Hello, my friends, and welcome to Gamers Tell All, an interview series where I talk to other creatives on the YouTube platform about their favorite games and the affect games can have on people. And today I have joining me Tommy from Designing 4. Say hello.
Hey guys, this is Tommy from Designing 4. You can find me as Pierre Kong on various things. Thank you for having me on.
I'm absolutely glad to have you. Now, just so that people can get to know you a little bit better, what's your YouTube channel about, and how did you get started making video game analysis videos on YouTube?
Well, I'm very glad you asked, but no, joking and theatricality aside, I just always enjoyed video games through my life. Designing 4 was actually a project of a buddy of mine who goes by Zach, and it was his college final to create something that would basically outlast the semester, so to speak. So he said, "Hey, I wrote a script and a thesis on Gradius 3, and at the time I was doing voiceover work." And he asked, "Would you be interested in doing that?" And I said, "Yeah, okay." And then we hammered out a couple of scripts, and from there I started writing scripts, and now we basically co-run the channel with him doing the video editing, me doing the audio, and going halfsies on scripts. And what we'd like to do is we like to take a look at a specific aspect of a game and what it does well or what it doesn't, because, so often design is broken into this is good game design, this is bad game design, but rarely do people go with their, to pardon this worst setup that I could possibly do, what games are designing for.
Right. It's either a blanket statement, and often it's even a blanket statement about a game as a whole. This game is designed well, this game is designed poorly, rather than even looking at, well, in which section is the game designed well or poorly. So people really lack specificity, and I think that's something that is very unique about your channel, is that while each video is about a broad topic, it never stays that way. You can balance the breadth of your topic and the specificity of how it's achieved in every single video. And so that's really, I guess, from my perspective, what makes you stand out, what makes you really unique on the platform.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I am most certainly blushing. You can rest assured of that.
Though no one can see.
Oh, yeah, please. In this quarantine, my hair is so long, and
I'll put up a picture of a cat blushing or something, some kind of kawaii shark, so that everyone just gets the feels of what it's supposed to feel like.
You got me. Identify with kawaii shark.
Kawaii shark is life, even though the meme is mostly gone. Last time it was popular, it was actually Bernie Sanders. So, I mean, he's kind of a shark.
In a sense.
Yeah, I think Kawaii Bernie Sanders was the culmination of that meme.
Well, I'm glad to bury the pinnacle out from its grave one last time.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and get to the topic at hand, which is the main question of the interview series. What is the most significant thing you have learned from a game? So, Tommy, if you could go ahead and tell us, what game are we going to be talking about today?
Well, you asked me that and in your email to me, and I said, okay, so I have two choices for you. and you basically very nicely said, well, we can do both. Yeah. Do you have the endurance for that? And I said, do I have the endurance for that? But no, the games that I chose, which from a philosophical standpoint are very broad, were Banjo-Kazooie and Shin Megami Tensei Persona 4.
Which is, well, I was honestly really surprised when you gave me those two games as, either, I don't know how I can describe it. I don't think anyone has ever thought that Banjo-Kazooie would be philosophically important. And at the same time, I think people often think Shin Megami Tensei is the most philosophically deep thing the world has ever seen, because Carl Jung exists.
You know basic psychology? You got that?
I know basic Freudian and Carl Jung stuff, and then I can say, but it's not specific enough. I ignore it now. That I know enough to tease it. So I guess I want to start with Banjo-Kazooie then, because that's the less expected thing. And Persona 4, I imagine, might end up being its entire separate thing. And I might even tell you a little bit about my own history with Shin Megami Tensei. But Banjo-Kazooie, what is the most significant thing that you learned from Banjo-Kazooie, other that jigsaw puzzles are very important?
Oh, that's so much fun. First of all, that Gruntilda the Witch, far
Is
better
May?
writer than Dr. Seuss.
Oh, is a better
Absolutely.
writer.
Learning through rhyme, mastered it. That was like my master class of reading comprehension there. But no, I actually have a very similar statement going into both of these games. And that is that video games are a really special medium in that you receive back what you put in and you get it with interest.
Right.
If you put like a part of yourself out there, if you invest yourself in something, if you invest that part of you in there, then it will absolutely give back. And I'm not sure that I can say Banjo-Kazooie does that intentionally, but I feel that, what I have learned from that is basically the philosophy that I took with me into playing video games as a child. I got Banjo-Kazooie when I was very young, I believe 4 years old. So my reading comprehension was just starting, and I would play it with my mother, and we would basically beat the game together. And
Oh, how nice.
yeah, what I love about Banjo-Kazooie is that, it's easy to grade it under the idea, oh, it's a collectathon. You collect the things. That's the idea.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think that any other game in that whole 3D platformer collect all the stuff genre makes the idea and identity of collecting so meaningful. Everything that you get just adds up slowly, and not just in the standard progression of, oh, you passed this threshold, so you can move on to the next world. You're not just collecting that, you're collecting the memories of the places that you experience. You're collecting just these barbs and these witty characters. It's so concerned with making itself this immersive world that brings you in. And the reason that I'm putting it on this pedestal that's not just like, oh, yes, I was highly immersed in Bubsy 3D. I remember every inch. That was my childhood. Of course it's immersive.
No one says that about Bubsy.
I'm aware, but like, if there was one straw man that was defending Bubsy 3D, I'm taking target directly at him.
Yes.
But what I love about Banjo-Kazooie is the way that it capitalizes on that in its ending. At the end of Banjo-Kazooie, after its 9 main worlds, you're transported to a giant board game called Grunty's Furnace Fun. And the witch rhymes at you, and she makes you participate in this quiz show. And in this quiz show, it shows you screenshots from the game. She asks you questions about all of the characters, and all of the information that you've amassed, all these memories that you've gathered, come together to create this final exam that just the more that you ended up exploring that world, the more that you ended up caring about every action that you did, the more that you tracked down her stupid sister in the lair and learned about her stupid little party tricks or whatever. That's a really real and magical feeling. At 4 years old, I wasn't great at video games, as you could imagine.
Uh-huh.
But I cared so much about the world of Banjo-Kazooie. I cared so much about being immersed in that world. And when we got there, I was the one who played it at age 4. And I beat it because I cared, because I wanted to immerse myself in that, because I had that investment. And it showed me that, putting yourself into something, believing in something, finding some value in something and investing yourself will pay dividends. That's the effort that really matters and makes you take a step back and go, yeah, I did that.
All right. I think we've actually also answered the second question of the interview. So if you'll let me take over for a moment.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
Here
no,
I've
don't
been
be
rambling
sorry.
about bear psychology.
I want to take a moment to echo back everything you've talked at me. So, of course, the second question is, how did the game teach that lesson? So you're saying that what Banjo-Kazooie was able to teach you was essentially the the ability to have an internal drive to finish a goal. And the way that it accomplished that was by essentially using story as a reward for progressive collection of these small miniature goals along the way. But then, when it delivered story as a reward, the game itself at the end culminated in using the story and the world you've experienced as collectibles for one final challenge that needed to be overcome. So not only were the collectibles the means to the reward of story as an engagement, but stories were collectibles as your means to the feeling of victory and achievement. And all of that worked together to make you hyper invested in the world, but also your action to see the world to its finish, to have that completionist feeling that runs underneath all collectathon games. How'd I do?
God, you said that so much more articulately than I did. Yes, yes, that's what I was getting at.
Well, I had the luxury of sitting here and listening to you, so I got to just summarize.
Well, yeah, but then I was going, okay, do I mention Mr. Vile at this point? I don't know.
Well, do you want to talk about Mr. Vile?
No, he's a jerk.
So, I mean, I guess perhaps. Well, I'm surprised we've made great time. You're very eloquent and very succinct.
Oh, I thank you.
Should we, if there's not anything else you want to talk about with Banjo Kazooie, because we can definitely stay on Banjo for a while. We could also, I also want to ask about how that ethic of how you learned to play games then translates into your experience with Shin Megami Tensei.
Oh, I could do that very easily. Yeah, we can keep moving at that thesis statement pace. Absolutely.
Let's do it.
All right, second paragraph. Let's go.
That was a long first.
Mm-hmm. So, well, second body. I don't know.
Sounds
Five paragraph essay, standard format, whatever. So, Shin Megami Tensei, I played, or rather, Persona 4 in specific. I played a little later in life when I was 15 at the time. And at that point in my life, I was not following the example Banjo-Kazooie set for me, if I can say that.
Oh no,
I know.
You lost your roots.
I did. I betrayed the bear and the bird.
Oh no.
Oh, but no, it was a bad time for me. I had actually withdrawn from school for a year because I was just my nerves had gone to the point where basically any decision I had to make was a matter of choice paralysis. I would get so nervous with myself and with doing the right thing, saying the right thing, saying what was expected of me, that I would just totally freeze up and be basically unresponsive. Not that I couldn't hear or think about the things around me, but I was so scared of saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing that staying silent felt like the best option. So I was essentially living a non-life.
General anxiety can be, well, not can be, is extremely crippling. I've had different parts of my life where anxiety has played more or less of a role, particularly the year after I graduated college and was living in downtown Los Angeles all by my lonesome. But no, like, I guess we just take a moment to appreciate the fact that you pulled away from school and needed time to like work on yourself and find some peace of mind. We'll put that out there on the forefront. That's completely okay and 100% something that some people do need.
Absolutely. I don't want to say that as a negative to anyone.
Right. We're not saying that is a bad thing just because we joked about betraying the bear and the bird.
Yes. Oh, wow. Thinking about that, wow, yeah, I had a very poor setup. Thank you.
I covering my bases. I'm 100% best PC cop this town has ever seen.
Thank you, Sarge. Really appreciate it. But yeah, at that point in my life, I got into Persona 4,
Yeah.
and it was kind of just a whim of fate, so to speak, where it was just, oh, this game was recommended to me, and I saw it in the GameFAQs contest in 2009, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a star quality. It's almost better than Street Fighter 4. I might as well put it in. But yeah, I did so. And then to moving in the second question, how it demonstrates that the Persona series always has a unique relationship with, well, relationships, in that it kind of gamifies them in the way that dating sims do, in that you spend time with individual NPCs or party members, and you talk with them, you get a little bit of story, and then that ranks them up and it gives you benefits so that the demons in your head are stronger
Yeah.
and evolve into better Pokemon and whatnot. But
Pokedemons.
yeah, exactly. Digimon. But what Persona 4 does is it makes that the forefront of the game. It'll have individual party members thrown into a world made of their own insecurities, and they will make them face a demon made of their insecurities head on and confronting it, and not defeating it, but accepting that those emotions, the things that they are struggling with, are part of them, and things that they have to develop and turn into healthier aspects of themselves rather than turning away.
Right.
And
drawing back to Carl Jung's formal words he used for describing the phenomenon, he took his approach to therapy as being very much the conflict between the self that you show others and the shadow or the actual person you are or see yourself as on the inside. And when your vision of yourself and your presentation of yourself conflict, he theorized that that is where mental illness starts to develop, because you are having turmoil with yourself, and it's not that part of you needs to be fixed, but that you need to just have an equilibrium in you to be able to feel okay with being yourself.
yes, precisely. I mean, they call it the shadow self. At one point, they actually mention Young by name, so it's very overt. But the fact of the matter is, after that confrontation, you can basically follow up with those party members and those friends that you've made and see their development. Spend time with them, try to say the right things in various conversations with them, and you're able to watch them grow as people, knowing that, okay, this is what I'm focusing on, but then seeing, where do I go from that? Now that these emotions are exposed and raw, and now I know what I want, what's the actual step that I take? And the ability to help them with that, the ability to say, yes, you are the person that I am spending my video game day on in order to bond with and make sure that you're okay. That means a lot. And there are obviously gameplay benefits to that. If you do it with your party members, they get bonus attacks and whatnot. So there's a clear game design aspect to it, but it's framed in a way that it shows that they care about you, the player, and they trust you, the player, and that meant the world to me at that time.
And to a certain extent, I'm going off of my experience with Persona 5 because I didn't play Persona 4.
Cool. Do correct that, but like
maybe. I mean, I only have so much time left in my life, and I feel like the next 10 years of Persona 4. I'm exaggerating.
No. I understand it. I understand it's a steep commitment, but have you considered just do it?
Have I considered Suck It Up? Maybe. I hadn't considered Stop Complaining. Yeah.
Get good at time management, Scrub, and whatnot.
Get good. I
Yeah.
play Dark Souls. I ought to know how to get good at that. Um, but the game in 5, and I'm assuming 4, very much has the player making constant decisions all the
Yes.
time that have permanent effect. Like
Hmm.
often you feel as though you can. In a lot of games, if you make a wrong decision, it has really no consequence, or you have no decision in the first place. And
Right.
while it's an RPG where the story is all going the same direction, the specific flavor or how that story emerges with each of the characters is completely deterministic and has permanent effect, but it's all based on the many things that Persona is constantly asking you to decide upon. And you were also talking about how the thing you were experiencing when starting in on this game was analysis paralysis, decision paralysis,
Yes.
brought on by just the anxiety of life. And here
Hmm.
you are picking up a life simulator with a magical, fantastical, aspect to it. But
Hmm.
anyone who played P5 knows that at least 50, maybe even like much more, 60 to 80% of the game is spent just doing the day to day and being a person.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, to be fair, when I picked up Persona 4, I thought, oh, they turn into them. They're like Power Rangers or something. So I didn't even have that good of a grasp on what I was getting into. But
Yeah. Would you say that? Because I can imagine that the learning that you have to make choices and being motivated to make choices by a game when making choices is a difficult thing for a person to do. Do you think that your willingness to put yourself through that, you know, on face level frustration came from the fact that you had already learned a lesson from Banjo Kazooie that pushing through and investing all of yourself into a certain task or achievement can drive you through those difficult or frustrating scenarios.
I wouldn't say that I learned it from consciously, but I can
Uh-huh.
tell you that the feeling that I had, I didn't have words for it at the time.
Well, you were
But
four.
yeah, exactly. But it was something that I felt that I had forgotten. I just thinking of it when I was 4, I used that video games as that bond with my mother, and just wanting to share that and share that feeling, and that got me so invested. And Persona helped me basically relearn that communicative. Yes, that's the word, communicative
Yes.
communicative drive to use that to touch others and bond with others, and that helped my slow desire to keep reintegrating into society and sharing the experiences that I wanted to, because I wanted to feel that and share that with other people, and that
Absolutely.
was a real strong motivator for that.
That's great. I mean, would you say then that the main reason you have to play games is because you want to connect your experiences or share your experiences with other people?
100%. The biggest motivator for me is just being able to go to someone and give them a game or watch them play a game and feel their experience and share in that experience and wonder what they're going to discover, because a lot of things have a lot of personal value to me. Of course, games let me
Hmm.
internalize that very easily, just due to the nature of the interactive medium. And the thrill about games is that interactivity makes what you can take from a game and what you feel from a game so diverse and so just psychologically interesting, and what you can experience from that and how you want to compare that to others. Not necessarily to say one is better or worse, but just to know what they felt and what they know, and gain that and attribute that feeling to the game. It's so interesting.
Yeah, so for you, you really use games and sharing games with people to not only have a base shared experience, but then to have a new dialogue where you get to compare your different experiences with, the things you've done together.
Well, yeah, but also Team Fortress 2 was really fun when it came out. So
It's true. Just having fun is also great. Not everything has to be very deep and heady. But if we didn't get deep and heady over silly, fun games, then where would we be?
Oh, absolutely. That's 40% of my MO. So
All right. So then, now that we've spent the last half hour talking about how great games are and the unique ways they help us and connect with people, what's the one medium of art that you want to poop all over? What do you want to crap on right now? Let's
oh
insult
gosh.
something. Let's
This is a
insult.
curveball.
Yeah, let's
Oh.
insult. Let's insult books or movies.
Cool.
What's worse?
I'm I'm going to say that the mediums, I don't hate any individual medium, but I don't like the precedent that streaming sends, honestly.
Really?
I don't like the idea of, because streaming makes consuming media so rapid. It makes it so much of an event where, okay, I'm going to binge this series. Okay, I'm going to see this series. I gave it 5 minutes. It didn't hook me.
Oh, so you mean like streaming pre-made media, not like
Yes.
live streaming?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, please, no. Oh, gosh.
I was about to go into this whole tangent of I want to pick your mind about the utility of parasocialization based on our whole previous conversation, but
Gosh. No.
I think we're
I feel
going into a different topic.
Yes, I'm sorry. I meant stream media, as you could see from
Right.
services such as Netflix, Disney Plus, etc.
Uh-huh.
No.
There is a sort of while for the individual person in streaming media, there is a personal level of accessibility that's very valuable.
Mm-hmm.
I think my main critique of it, to piggyback off of your, I look at it for 5 seconds and then I put it down, is that media never really has an event anymore. When you rely on streaming services, it's not that this thing is out and everyone who wants to see it will come see it. It's either it has been coming out and then just now it's all showed up right here, and or that it comes out and only certain people who have been algorithmically pre-chosen to enjoy it will find it and give it a try. And I think nowadays people definitely have to make a very concerted effort for a piece of media to be a social event. Whereas when Netflix just started and the new Netflix special was out, everyone watched it because that was the special. When it was weekly shows on Fox, that was the water cooler talk of the week, or of at least that next Monday. And heck, when certain stars got very famous, like Bruce Lee, every Bruce Lee movie was the event of Bruce Lee continuing.
Absolutely.
But now I don't think we really do that as much. We have many things that we all share personally, and we try to share them piecemeal with every person we come across.
Yes. That's kind of why I love games, because they're such heavy time investments that you don't really get that. It's very much you have to be part of the event. And with streamers coming out and supporting their game of choice so much, being like, okay, game's out, have to stream it right now, then it becomes this part of the conversation and you get those memories to attach to it. And I think that games are really the one visual medium that is enduring, other than live theater, which can't be a thing right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, unless you film it and then make it remote, and then it's just a movie of the theater. But like even now with Ghost of Tsushima, there's so much conversation, not just about the game and how beautiful it is, but about Japanese culture and how, to a large extent, the game is completely inaccurate when it comes to like its time period and what culture values were real for Japanese people at the time, but then at the same time it also is accurately presenting modern cultural values and an homage to the culture of Kurosawa films that people don't really engage with because Kurosawa films are older and they're not new. So games have this potential to, like, at the same time, just create many dimensions of a conversation with their event. Because just with Ghost of Tsushima, we're seeing what technology and social values were actually available during the first Mongol invasion. Mostly what's in the game comes a very long time after what would have actually been there. And then we have people talking about, well, what actually makes a Kurosawa film a Kurosawa film? What is the aesthetic of black and white versus grayscale? So people are talking about artistry in film around a video game. They're talking about culture and history around a video game. And the video game is fun. Like, its lack of accuracy historically doesn't reduce the enjoyment of the game. But, like, it still is sparking so many of these conversations, and it's an event happening right now.
Of course, I think that the fact that it is stirring this conversation means that it is evoking a feeling in the general public and a desire for it, and that absolutely is such a strong tentpole to rally around.
Yeah. What other... I'm trying to think of another recent event of games, but of course we live in the YouTube space, and there are always trends. Horror games seem to create an event more than any other game when it comes out. Like
any other game that isn't Animal Crossing, but yes.
Yes, okay, yes. Animal Crossing is, hey, that's not an event, that's a way of life.
Well, yes, but it's a way of life that has a start point.
True. But like, yeah, with what was the thing before Slender Man and Five Nights at Freddy's?
Was that Amnesia?
Amnesia: The Dark Descent. That was a huge one. Pretty much all of, like, the mainstay names on YouTube started with Amnesia, like, nowadays. And so horror games in particular, at least on the YouTube platform, seem to make a cultural event that shapes the landscape of online entertainment for, a very long time to come. Because
absolutely,
we look at how news and entertainment, traditional media, has had to adapt to working from home in, the current age.
Right.
And how you see them struggle, transition over to using these skills and presentation styles. I messed up some consonants in that sentence. But of YouTubers. And now YouTube and the mainstream look almost the same.
Yeah.
And the events of games made YouTube what it was.
Completely agree with you there.
So we're on the precipice of history. We are the forefront, the vanguard.
So to speak. Yet we're here talking about Banjo-Kazooie and Persona 4.
Banjo-Kazooie is the vanguard of culture, Tommy!
Well, you are correct. But I mean, at least you're the one who said it out loud.
So I'm the one who can be vilified by the press.
Oh, you're the one that they could make the meme out of, which,
I'm good with that. Immortalize me as a meme. That's all I want. That's all I want in life.
Crap, I should have said that.
I stole it.
There. Right. Gruntilda Winky Bunyan invented culture. There we go. Is that a good sound bit?
I think that's a good. We got it isolated. It's perfect.
All right. Well,
I think that brings us to the end here. So let me go ahead and take our fun final moment to thank you again for coming on. You have no idea how much it meant to me, and I hope my audience here will love it as much as I did. Any last thing you want to say, or is there anything on your channel that you'd like people to go and check out so that they can become more familiar with you?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say thank you. This was a ton of fun. I greatly enjoyed my time here. If you want to check us out, at the start of June, we ran through June an entire expose on Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and we went through every single boss in the game and how how that intimidation, how the intimidation that they exude pushes you forward, and the different ways that they intimidate you, and how Mike Tyson's career at the time sort of elevated that into, as we're saying, this huge cultural experience and this cultural phenomenon. And it was just a real pleasure to work on. So if you haven't checked us out there, I suggest it. It starts with Designing for Intimidation, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out's Minor Circuit.
That sounds awesome. I'm definitely going to make sure to take a look at that. Any hope for a sequel for the new Punch-Out, the more modernized one?
I have been hoping for a Punch-Out sequel since 2010, and the previous game came out since 2009, so it wasn't that long that I was satisfied. Oh my god. If there was any game that could live off of DLC fighters forever, it would be Punch-Out. So.
That's the one. That's the one. All right. So thank you so much again. Everyone, check out Designing For. Thank you for taking a look at this video, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.